After hosting my ancestors' raintree for 8 months, I asked back they planned to move out. My wife said, "They're staying. If that's a problem, maybe you should be the one to go." Her brother came bottomward the stairs and said, "Finally." I arranged a bag that night and left. But before I did, I opened the closet safe. They didn't perceive I'd reinstalled. I never accepted my alliance to abatement afar over article as simple as allurement for amplitude in my own home. But I assumption that's how it consistently starts. Baby cracks. Afresh, you apprehend the accomplished abuse foundations addle through. My name is Mike, I'm 38, lived best of my developed activity in Grand Junction, Colorado. Quiet town, acceptable neighbors, apple pie streets. I bought my abode back I was 30. Took me years of working, construction, odd jobs, extenuative every additional dollar. The abode was annihilation fancy. 1,400 above-board FT, 2 bedrooms, 1 and a bisected bath. But it was mine. Paid in full. No debt, no roommates. I kept it simple. Paid the bills on time. Fixed what bear fixing. Lawn was trimmed, roof solid. Afresh, I met Daniela. She was beautiful, I won't lie. Smart, too. At Atomic, anticipation, so. She formed in HR at a dental group. We met at a friend's barbecue in Clifton. She laughed at my impaired jokes, admired my brainless, affable skills, and said she admired a man who could body a boat with his own 2 hands. We anachronists for a year and bisected afore accepting married. She confused, in and for a while things were good. We kept abstracted coffer accounts. She offered to advice with advantage and utilities. I didn't a perception. Accoutrement the mortgage. I had already been accomplishing it. The abode started to feel like ours. We corrected the bedroom, replaced the carpets. She brought a little activity into the house. Afresh, after most year, her mom absent her job. It started off like any approved. Tuesday. Daniela got home. Aboriginal attractive concerned. My mom got laid off. She said she can't allow hire a budding month. I nodded. That sucks. What's she activity to do? Daniela hesitated. She could aperture with us for a while. Aloof until she finds something. 2 months max. I didn't adulation the idea. I like my space. I like quiet. But I get it. Ancestors helps family. So, I said, okay. Her mom confused in that weekend. She brought added actuality than I expected. 5 boxes, a behemothic suitcase, and her cat. I wasn't thrilled, but I approved to be nice. I fabricated amplitude in the bedfellow room, put a anhydrate in the bathroom, alike added her to the Wi-Fi. By anniversary 3, she was still sleeping, in, watching soap operas, and not attractive for work. I asked Daniela about it. She's aloof stressed, she said. Give her time. A fresh Jesse showed up. Jesse is her adolescent brother, mid-20s, academy dropout, consistently blocks some half-baked dream. Aftermost I heard, he was managing a bounded rapper, a budding affair. I know, he's on my couch with an attaché bag and a Red Bull. Aloof abolition. For a few nights. Daniela said he's got boilerplate else. That few nights affronted into 8 months. He took over the basement, said he bare amplitude for his studio. That meant chords everywhere, speakers errant beats at 2 to 1 a.m., and edger abhorrent. Up my vents. He ate my food, acclimated my soap, larbored his shoes in the hallway. Meanwhile, her mom advised the bedfellow allowance like her claimed kingdom. She abounding the kitchen with her vegan crap, consistently commented on how I bankrupt laundry wrong, and larbored her beard all over the bath sink. I asked Daniela assorted times aback they were leaving. They're looking, she'd say. It's adamantine appropriate now. Adamantine my ass. Jessie hadn't abounding out a distinct job app. Her mom spent added time on Facebook than a aerial schooler. I kept track. I arrested the ability bill. It had doubled. The grocery bills tripled. I was advantageous for 4 adults on a distinct income, and not one of them, not one, offered to dent in. One Friday night, afterwards, Jessie drank the aftermost of my beer and larboard the fridge aperture accessible again. I snapped. We were sitting in the active room. Her mom was Admiral accomplishing yoga or some crap. Jessie was in the basement. Announcement the aforementioned angled exhausted for the third beeline hour. I affronted to Daniela. Aback are they effective out? She looked up from her phone. What? Your family? They've been actuality 8 months. They don't pay rent. They don't clean. They don't help. Aback are they leaving? Her announcement changed. Algid, like a about face, flipped. They're staying, she said. I stared at her. For how long? As continued as they need. If that's a problem, she said, staring asleep at me, maybe you should be the one to go. I waited for the bite line. It never came. A fresh Jessie absolved up the stairs, leaned to join the rail, accoutrements crossed, and said, Finally. Took you continued enough. Like they'd been cat and mouse for me to crack. Like they'd apposite. I acquainted article aperture central me. Not rage, not sadness. Aloof done. I was done. I stood up, absolved upstairs. Daniela didn't follow. Jessie didn't say addition word. I effective a attaché bag, 2 shirts, jeans, socks, toothbrush, my laptop, my keys. Afresh, I opened the closet. Daniela never knew I had a hidden safe. Aback we adapted the adept bedchamber after most year. We took bottomward one of the walls, and I reinstalled it myself, appropriate abaft a apart lath in the closet. She anticipation I got rid of it. Central, the safe. The abode, accomplishment in. My name only. A USB drive abounding of banking docs, including coffer statements that showed her agilely effective money out of our collective accumulation into an annual I never knew existed. The prenup she anticipation was aloof a formality, but I had advised afresh 6 months ago with my advocate and had adapted with her bashful acceding via email, and finally, for $1,000 in banknote I had tucked away, emergency money she never knew I had. I took everything. I didn't bang the aperture. Aback I left. I didn't leave a note. A collection to a cabin off I-7 and spent the night watching snow aggregate al fresco the window. My buzz active with texts I didn't read. She never anticipation I'd walk, but I did, and she had no abstraction what was advancing next. The abutting morning, I woke up to 30 benighted messages. All from Daniela. Area, are you? Can we talk? Your actuality dramatic. Appear back. You larboard the barn opener. No apology, no explanation. Not alike a affected attack to pretend she was sorry. Aloof control. Aloof added of the same. I abandoned her. Instead, I alleged my lawyer. His. Name is Rick. Solid guy. Handled my abode closing aback I bought it. Advice abstract the prenup, too. You accessible to file? He asked. Yeah, I said, and I appetite her out of my house. Rick didn't decay time. By Monday, the paperwork was moving. Daniela approved to alarm afresh and again. Aback, I didn't answer. She beatific her mom afterwards me. I got an email from her mother, Sharon. Adage how baby I was actuality, and how I was abandoning ancestors' responsibilities. I didn't reply. I didn't charge to. I let the abstracts allege for me. The abode was mine. Daniela's name was never on it. She never paid into it. The prenup was airtight. She didn't alike authorize for conjugal support. I gave her 1 anniversary to move out. 7 days. That's aback the absolute bold started. On day 2, Jessie a quaint article on his Instagram story. A photo of him flipping off the camera with the caption, Good riddance. That was a mistake. See? What Jessie didn't apperceive was that I still had alien admission to the Nest cameras in the house, including the basement. I logged in and watched him bedlam on the couch, talking trash, calling me names, aloof about how he was barren of the abode now. Afresh, I watched him atom up a edgeless abutting to the baptize heater. That's a blaze hazard, I awning recorded. The footage and beatificate to my allowance agent, afresh to the police. Afresh, I alleged Rick. By Friday, a sheriff's agent showed up at the abode with the academic notice. They had 72 hours to abandon or face acknowledged removal. Jesse filmed himself babble at the agent and acquainted online. Addition, mistake. That video was now accessible affidavit of his behavior, and we submitted it to the adjudicator administering the case. Meanwhile, I backward quiet, backward calm. I formed alien from a bargain-continued Aperture Motel. 8 gas base sandwiches, aloof, waited. By day 6, Daniela assuredly alleged and larbored a voicemail that was different. Her articulation was shaky, not angry, scared. Mike, amuse alarm me. I didn't apperceive you'd absolutely file. I anticipation you were aloof mad. Can we amuse aloof talk? Please. Too late. I wasn't mad. I was focused. Because here's what she absolutely didn't know. There was added on that USB drive. Abundant more. See, Daniela had been effective money out of our collective account. That. Abundant I already ample out. But what I hadn't accepted to find, she was additionally sending chunks of money, baby amounts every brace weeks to a man alleged Brian Cardenas. I didn't apperceive who he was, so I looked him up. Clandestine Instagram, but his Twitter was public. Assumption, what he acquaint 2 months ago? A account of my backyard. My exact backyard. Caption, a back at my admired little hideaway. I stared at that column for a continued time. Afresh, I looked up Buzz records. She'd been calling him during cafeteria break backward at night, already at 1:34 in the morning. My easily were shaking. I beatific the affirmation to Rick. This changes things. He said big time. I didn't acquaint her, I knew. Not yet, because now it wasn't aloof about the house. Now it was about the truth. And I wasn't done. By now, I knew Daniela wasn't aloof. Demography sides. She had been active a bifold activity appropriate beneath my roof, and while I sat agilely in the cabin, piecing aggregate together, she kept aggravating to alarm me like it was all a misunderstanding. I didn't aces up. I was alive on Article Else. I had the acquaintance alleged Kyle. We went to Barter Academy Comm years ago. He now works IT Aegis for a close in Denver. Acceptable guy. Owes me a favor. So I alleged him up. I charge advice affairs. Some buzz backups and billow data. I said he didn't ask questions. I gave him admission to an old iCloud login had acclimated a back-a-back we aggregate an iPad. She never afflicted the password. Within 2 hours, I had backups of texts, photos, emails, everything, and what I begin fabricated my abdomen turn. She'd been talking to Brian Cardenas for over a year. A year! It wasn't aloof accidental flirting. There were texts from the aforementioned time I was acclamation the kitchen bore saying, "Wish you were actuality instead." There were photos, annihilation explicit, but affectionate enough. One was taken in our bed while I was out of boondocks, after most October for a beam job in Montrose. Worse yet, she'd been biting me. Screenshots of our texts beatific to him with captions like, "He's actuality affecting again. I affirm I could bang him. If he any time leaves, I'm not crying." That was the aforementioned anniversary I brought. Her flowers on a Tuesday aloof because she said she acquainted down. It was all fake. Afresh, I noticed article else. Brian wasn't some accidental guy, he was her co-worker. He formed it at her dental group. That's how they met. And I begin a agenda allure active in her emails, blue-blooded aggregation architecture weekend appointment veil. I remembered that trip. She told me it was mandatory. Aloof, 2 days. She came aback tired, said it was boring. Now I knew she'd spent 2 nights in a auberge apartment with Brian on the company's dime. I alleged Rick again. Can we accompany this into the annulment case? He paused. If you've got affidavit, and you do, we can altercate delinquency and intent. It's activity to change the outcome. I nodded. Do it. That weekend, I collection by the house. I backward in the car beyond the street. Lights were on. Jesse's car was gone, finally. A U-Haul sat in the driveway. They were moving. And aloof as I started the engine, Daniela stepped out the advance door. She didn't attending like herself. Beard in a blowsy bun, hoodie, no makeup, pale, stressed. She stood there. For a minute, attractive out, like she accepted me to be watching. Afresh, she pulled out her phone. A few abnormal later, apperception bust. We're leaving. Achievement. You're happy. I didn't respond. Instead, I waited until the barter was gone, a fresh collection beeline up to the advance door. It was quiet. I opened the aperture and stepped into my abode again. Aggregate smelled different. The affected boilerplate candles were gone. Her plants, her mugs, her accidental ataxia gone. I absolved through the apartment in silence. It acquainted cold, empty, but additionally right. Afresh, I arrested the bedroom. She hadn't taken everything. There was a baby artificial alembic larboard in the closet, apparently forgotten. Central were old cards, receipts, a shoebox abounding of photos, and an additional USB drive. Curious, I acquainted it in. There were videos, Aegis camera footage. Daniela charge except downloaded them before I cut off her Nest access. And what I saw abutting addled the accomplished adventure upside bottomward again. One blow showed Jesse and my home appointment backward at night artful files off my laptop, USB in hand. Addition showed him activity into the adept bedchamber, with Daniela while I was gone. They weren't kissing, they weren't touching, but they were whispering. And he handed her something, a key. That night wasn't aloof betrayal. It was planned. I stared at the awning for over an hour. That moment amid Daniela and Jessie, my wife and her own brother, was austere into my brain. I replayed it afresh and again. It wasn't aloof whispers. It was plotting. She took the key from him, looked appropriate into the bedchamber camera, and smiled. The affliction part, that footage was from 2 weeks before she told me to leave. It, all fabricated faculty now. They were accusation me out together. I'd been their ATM, their chargeless landlord. Already I started allurement questions. They absentatively it would be easier to abolish me. I took a breath, stood up, and looked about the room. This wasn't activity to be a apple pie divorce. This was war. I beatific the new footage to Rick. Within a day, he had filed an emergency motion with the court. Not alone did I accept affidavit of infidelity, I now had affirmation of what looked like accommodating bamboozlement and accessible annexation of clandestine data. Because assumption what? That USB Jesse used. I begin out he'd baseborn acute files from my applicant work. Things I wasn't alike declared to abundance locally. NDA material, activity bids in the amiss hands. It could accept amount me approaching work. I fabricated an address with the police. Identity theft, unlawful admission to clandestine documents. Jesse didn't aloof spiral about in my house, he committed a felony. Meanwhile, I played the continued game. I accomplished out to Daniela's boss, her absolute boss, not Brian. I emailed them the Aegis footage, the texts, the banking affairs that akin with assignment travel. An anniversary later, I got a one-word reply. Handled. She was fired. No severance. Bryant, too. Apparently, it wasn't aloof her breaking rules. He'd been application aggregation tech for claimed book transfers. They alleged it a massive aperture of policy. I heard through an acquaintance they escorted both of them out in advance of the accomplished office. Afresh, it was Jesse's turn. A few months back, Jesse had filed for unemployment, said he was jobless, claimed he was active with about who accurate him financially, Well, that was accurate and additionally actionable because while he was accepting unemployment benefits, he was additionally accepting money from Daniela's abstruse transfers and active ancillary hustle affairs, flat accessories he bought with my money. Actuality, I begin on Facebook Marketplace beneath a affected name, which I traced back to his Venmo. I beatific the capacity to the Colorado Department of Labor. Within a few weeks, Jesse was beneath analysis for fraud. They froze his accounts, pulled back every sin he owed, hit him with a $12,000 affirmation appeal and a fine. The abode still mine. The adjudicator disqualified in my favor. She had no affirmation to it, no equity, and no affidavit of contribution. I kept the car, the furniture, everything. She absolved abroad with alone the clothes she packed. Rick asked me if I capital to go afterwards conjugal damages. I said yes, not for the money, but for the record. We won. She owed me $18,000 in acknowledged fees and amercement for misappropriating collective funds. She didn't accept it, still doesn't. Her accomplishment now get busy every month. I kept things quiet afterwards that. Went back to work, paid off Rick, started seeing a therapist. I had to. The lies, the manipulation, the gaslighting. It did a cardinal on me, but I didn't aperture bitter. I backward focused. About 6 months afterwards, aggregate settled, I got an email from Daniela. Aloof one sentence. I never anticipation you'd absolutely go through with it. I didn't reply. A year later, I heard Jesse confused back in with their dad in Albuquerque. His flat business died. Aback the accompaniment pulled. His license, he still owes restitution. Daniela. After most I heard, she works advanced board at a spa. Minimum wage, no benefits. I drive by that abode sometimes, not to gloat, but to admonish myself how far I've come. I started dating afresh slowly. Took time to clean trust. Got a dog, repainted the house, took a cruise to Alaska. Article I consistently capital to do, but never could with her around. The bedchamber area they advised to join me. It's now an office. My space, my rules. I don't accusation myself anymore. I aloof bethink this. I gave them kindness. They gave me betrayal. I gave them a home. They approved to advance me out, but in the end, I stayed. They're the ones who absent aggregate, and they'll never set bottom in my abode.